Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer replay. Today we are playing TombKings once again versus the evil Dark Elves. So, for my build, I've gone for a bit of an interesting one. So I've got Archie on the black here. Basically, against Dark Elves, you need something to help you get through those armor. So I've got good old Soul Blight here. I've also taken Fate of Buna. Basically, you know, if there's things like Cold One Knights, it's a really good spell of basically getting those guys down. And of course, Dark Elves don't really have any healing at all. But he's got Liber of Mortis. No, sorry, not Liber of Bubonicus. That's obviously Skrulk. But you've got the Tomb Blade of Archeon as well, letting you summon some skeletons, which is always very, very nice. I've got a Tomb Prince, of course, protecting him in case, you know, there's a Malekith coming in for any snipes or anything like that. These guys, of course, have the Guardian ability, which gives that lovely physical resistance. And Anti-Large, always very nice to have. I've also got the Eyes of the Desert, one of my favourite units that the TombKings have. These guys are really, really cool. Of course, they're anti-large. They have some missile attacks as well. They have poison. They have armor piercing. I mean, they don't have much ammunition. They only have 4, but, you know, they can, you know, pick in the sky at any units. I mean, they're a bit of a... Their gun is sort of like a shotgun, okay? It's a bit of a sort of spread shotgun pellet sort of thing they shoot at. But, you know, these guys have stalks, so they can't be shot by, you know, anything like Reaper Bolt throwers, which is very, very nice. Also got the King of the Scorpion Legion, anti-large. In the front line we have Tomb Guard, you know, in the nice little blocky formation. But for my interesting, you know, sort of weird picks, I've got a Casket of Souls. Now, the Casket of Souls did recently get a buff where it shoots actually more projectiles when it shoots out its little, you know, things. I mean, it's got a couple of nice little, I don't know what that is, like a little beetle flying around there. But the main reason you take these guys is because they offer the Covenant of Power, which gives greater increase to power reserve. So basically, you're going to be able to get out more spells. I've also taken a Bone Giant. I mean, the reason I've taken a Bone Giant is because I'm used to going up against, you know, when I play High Elves, I'm used to going up against 3 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, and I'm expecting something similar now against the Dark Elves, so I take a Bone Giant, but of course the Casket of Souls is my sort of very off-meta pick here. But yeah, that's pretty much my build. That's my opponent, Dark Elves. I like what my opponent brought here. He had some interesting stuff. He also had some really cancer stuff as well. But he has got a Supreme Sorceress of Death. You know, these guys, you know, I mean, basically, he's got the Spirit Leech to try and snipe my Lord. You know, that's pretty inevitable. And he also has Fate of Buna himself. So we've got a bit of dark magic on dark magic. He's also got some Cold One Knights here. I believe he has 2 of those. He's also got the Knights of the Ebon Claw. These guys are very, very powerful. Armor piercing, you know, armored and shielded. You know, 120 armor for a cavalry unit is insane, but these guys are very, very good. They have some really nice stats and can go toe-to-toe with pretty much most stuff in the game. You've got some Dark Riders on either flank. These guys, of course, can get into the back line, you know, get on maybe any artillery or anything like that I have. But yeah, his front line mainly consists of Bleak Swords, which won't beat Tomb Guard, which is very, very nice for me. But, you know, they have shields, they're good against archers. But my opponent here, he does have 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, and these, of course, are going to be really good at taking out constructs or, you know, anything like that, and also taking out any of my artillery. So, unfortunately, you know, 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers is going to be a lot, you know, for me to deal with. And he also has the Chill of Sontar. This is obviously a Warhammer Regiment of Renown. It does have regen. It also has the another takes its place. I've never seen that before. Okay, replaces hit points, okay. But the main reason you bring this thing is because it has the Frost Breath, which basically, you know, does damage to a single unit. But it also has Frostbite, which lowers speed. So, you know, things like chariots and stuff like that, it can be good at dealing with. But now let's get right into this replay. So, basically, as soon as I saw the 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, I was like, fuck. Because this little Casket of Souls here, you know, it's a good little unit, but with 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers shooting at it, it's not going to, you know, live at all. He did have his Dark Riders coming around this right flank here, so got the Eyes of the Desert checking that out, and of course, his Lord is coming in, trying to get a Spirit Leech off on Archeon the Black, but, you know, that's inevitable that that's going to happen. But as I say, my Casket of Soul here is taking a lot of damage. We do have the Eyes of the Desert shooting into his Supreme Sorceress, doing a little bit of damage, but as I say, Archeon is going to be taking a Spirit Leech. The first Spirit Leech of this match, and of course, many more are going to be coming. But we have got a bit of return fire going on here. Now, the thing is, if I'd taken 2 Bone Giants, this actually would have been a bit of an even trade going on here between the Reaper Bolt Throwers. But unfortunately, 1 Bone Giant isn't actually going to be any good at oh my god, you see how much blood just came out of those guys. But 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers is going to trade very cost efficiently with the Casket of Souls and a Bone Giant here. As you can see, this Casket of Souls is pretty much on the verge of crumbling here, and is basically going to die. So that is really unfortunate. I mean, as I say, it was a bit of an off-meta pick. This is why you have to be so careful taking units like this. They are very, very slow. They are a single entity, so they can be killed very easily by sort of things like that. And unfortunately, my Casket of Souls does go down. We do have a second Spirit Leech coming down here. As you can see, my opponent is literally doing a very, very interesting strat on me. You know, killing my Casket of Souls, Spirit Leeching me to death. So I thought, right, we're going to have to take the fight to him. We get a nice little Chariot charge coming right through. And of course, now my goal is to just cycle charge as much as I can with the Chariots, getting through here and doing what damage I can. The Eyes of the Desert did sort of poke a little bit at the Dark Riders. It did a little bit of damage, but now my opponent here wasn't really focusing on his Sorcerer here, so I do line up the Eyes of the Desert and we do start, shooting some shotgun blasts into her in the air. As you can see, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but I'm not too sure. It isn't bonus versus large missiles here, but we're doing a little bit of damage. The Chariots here are actually doing a really nice amount of damage here. We're getting some nice early damage onto my Bleak Swords. He does have, of course, his Cold One Knights coming in, so I do see that coming, so I literally pull myself out of there very, very quickly because I don't want to deal with Cold One Knights. Cold One Knights are going to deal with Chariots so easy. We've got a nice little formation going in here. It's like a Hunger Games sort of thing going on here. But yeah, we take that. I do realise that the Bone Giant isn't winning the fight against the Reaper Bolt Throwers, so I decide here that just to shoot into a much more juicier target here. So I do start shooting at the Cold One Knights, getting what damage I can on them. And basically, Balance of Power starts to go straight into my opponent's favour here. It's been a very, very rough start for me here. I mean, I've lost my Casket of Souls. You know, my Lord's taken a lot of damage already from Spirit Leeches. The Bone Giant's almost fully offline now. So, to come back from this game, I'm really going to have to pull it out my arse. So, I've got some more, cycle charging coming in here. As I said, I wanted to really break through this front line, get, what damage I can. And these Chariots are really good against Bleak Swords. I mean, that's already down to half HP from one single charge. But as I say, my opponent still has this Reaper Bolt Throwers online. A lot's going down there. So I do believe I have the first Soul Blight coming down here. Of course, lowering armor and weapon damage, allowing my Tomb Guard to get more damage in. And basically my Chariots are cycle charging. We're getting some nice rear charge in here as well. Because of course we want to try and, basically rout these guys as quickly as possible. My Bone Giant pretty much on the verge of death here. 170 is going to obviously rout very soon. Another Spirit Leech going down onto Archaon the Blank. Basically almost beneath half HP now. So things are looking very, very grim. We do break through the front line though. We do basically insta-rout a lot of these Bleak Swords, which is very, very good. But we do have some Cold One Knights coming. So I do use a Fate of Buna on these guys. I summon some skeletons here, getting them sort of stuck in here with this chaff. And I send the Tomb Prince in. So I get a really nice play here. I bait them in, Fate of Buna, Tomb Prince in there. And we basically annihilate this one group of Cold One Knights, which is really, really nice for me. I'm really happy how I played that. On this right flank though, it's not going too badly. We've dealt with the Dark Riders. The Tomb Guard are pushing in. This War Hydra though is pretty much going to be a massive problem for me because, okay, this thing has regen and I don't have any fire capabilities on this side currently. So dealing with them is going to be really hard. We do get one Tomb Guard through the front line here and we do get onto the Reaper Bolt Thrower, which is very, very nice for me. That one Cold One Knights has had to pull out of there because they were taking a lot of damage. And so basically we've won the front line here, but this is where things start to get really annoying. So my opponent now starts playing the cycle charge, alpha strike sort of game with his Manticore here. And basically at every single time now, he's trying to, basically come down and snipe my Lord. So I have to keep the King Nakesh's Scorpion Legion basically protecting Archaon the Black here at all costs here, because if I leave Archaon the Black, on his own, this Manticore is just going to keep cycle charging. But we get a bit of a nice engagement here. We've got Cold One Knights fighting against the Eyes of the Desert here, and the Eyes of the Desert, have armor piercing, they're bonus versus large, and they're actually, mixed in with some Tomb Guard here. We're going to be able to take out these Cold One Knights very, very nicely as well. They're rampage, so they're stuck in that combat. I decide, obviously, that this War Hydra is going to be a massive problem in the late game, so I use the Blade of Satep on him, lowering his armor and physical resistance, and basically the Tomb Prince is now going head-to-head with the War Hydra, and we're going to be able to do a lot of damage to him. My opponent does send his Supreme Sorcerer in, but I'm not too worried about that on the Tomb Prince. The Tomb Prince can tank that very, very easily. It's mainly Archaon the Black here. Another Spirit Leech going down. Balance of Power still heavily in my opponent's favour here. We have sort of dealt with the Reaper Bolt Throwers here, but my Tomb Guard are sort of faltering in this sort of down here. The Knights of the Ebon Claw doing a lot of damage to the Knight, so that we do have the Eyes of the Desert coming in, getting a nice little rear charge on them, helping out. Of course, doing that bonus versus large, which is very, very good for me. The War Hydra here is faltering slightly as well, fighting amongst this Tomb Guard and my Tomb Prince. We're doing some nice damage to it. It's almost on the verge of routing, which is really, really nice for me. But as you can see, Archaon the Black, he is looking very, very grim right now. I'm literally, sort of hugging this Scorpion Legion here. Of course, these guys do poison, so that's very good at sort of keeping that Manticore lower down here. But the War Hydra does actually rout off slightly here. So basically, I send the Tomb Prince here, to ensure that this War Hydra isn't coming back on, because if I leave the War Hydra, it will basically come back on, it will regen all its health, and just be an annoying problem to deal with here. So I do send the Tomb Prince to escort this lovely War Hydra by poking in its arsehole here off the field, which is nice for me. Balance of power does shift back slightly to the middle here, and it's not looking too bad. My chariots have done their job. They're on 87 kills, which is not too bad, but they do crumble here to the Dark Riders and the Cold War Knights, which is understandable here. You know, Ark on the Black looking very, very low here, and my opponent is still looking in for some Alpha Strikes here. I was trying to bait him in here, you know, I sort of try to bait him in, send the Eyes of the Desert in on him, and then try and get the King's Scorpion Legion in. But the Manticore, it's got a bit of mass to it, you know, it's not, you know, he does have that Opal Amulet as well. So I really try to stick him in here, try and get him stuck in, but we don't seem to capitalise on it, which is really unfortunate. I still have some Tomb Guard fighting in some Bleak Swords and some Dark Riders, and you know Tomb Guard are going to put up a decent fight. I mean, there's nothing here that particularly has anti-infantry. I do summon my Abshavati here. I thought this would be a good opportunity to, you know, summon my Abshavati here. I believe I should have probably set this, you know, waited for late game to send these guys in, because I thought, oh, okay, this is great. If we're having a massive, you know, sort of cockpit fight here, then I don't know why I said cockpit, but you know, a bit of a grind up fest here. Then maybe, you know, summon the Abshavati, get them stuck in. But my opponent very smartly does pull out his Cold War Knights and his Knights of Ebon Claw here, sort of, you know, obviously waiting for my summons here to die. So I decide here that obviously the Abshavati, I need to get my money's worth for them, so I decide to send them onto the Bleak Swords here, and the Reaper Bolt Throwers, you know, just getting what money's worth I can. As I say, Ark on the Black so low here. And basically this is where the sort of mind games and the sort of cycle charging sort of becomes into play. Now my opponent, his plan here is obviously to try and kill Archeon. If he kills Archeon, he's going to rely on a lot of my stuff sort of crumbling and dying. Now I do have a Tomb Prince, so of course that does provide encouragement to a lot of my units here, so they aren't going to fully crumble. But as you can see here, the Abshavati, I do rout off these Bleak Swords as well, which is nice for me. And yeah, I mean, he's sort of resetting on this left flank here with a lot of his cavalry as well. I mean, he's sort of playing it very smartly. I have a lot of stuff left. I have some Tomb Guard. I have some Tomb Guard here. Of course, I have the King Nagesh's Scorpion Legion, which of course are on full health. He does charge in here, does a little bit of damage, and let's just try to pull out. As I say, he obviously is clicking a lot here. My opponent is cycle charging like a complete twat, you know, well, in the late game here. I know it's understandable, but, you know, it pisses me off because he's just obviously trying to snipe the Lord at all costs here. So I'm just going to speed it up a little bit here, because basically my plan here, get rid of everything here as much as possible. And my opponent's plan here was to keep everything back and try and snipe down my Lord here. I do send the Knights of the Desert, it's not the Knights of the Desert, the Eyes of the Desert here to try and get rid of this Dark Riders here. And it just becomes like this sort of like grind fest here, where we're just trying to sort of kill each other's like units. I mean, my plan here was to obviously try and get rid of everything of my opponents and force this fucking Manticore to land, because it's just flying around here. Another cycle charge coming in. As you can see, he's sort of clicking, looking for an opportunity here. Just going to speed it up a little bit more, and you see he's just clicking and more here. And I've got to be very careful, because you know, if he gets one little attack on my Lord here, he's basically going to kill him. I mean, Archeon's only on 500 HP, and this, you know, Manticore or this Supreme Sorcerer could easily do it here. So I've got to be very, very careful. Speeding it up once again, I'm sort of thinking about what my game plan is in here. The Manticore is coming back, so I'm trying to keep him in here, but of course my opponent is still duking me, baiting me a little bit here, which is understandable. You know, I'm not surprised that he's doing that here. And he does send his Cold War Knights over here and the Knights of the Ebon Claw to try and get on my Eyes of the Desert here. So, you know, I was trying to pull them back because I don't want them to be caught out by all this, you know, extremely powerful cavalry units here. At the same time, he's coming in for a cycle charge here. He does just slightly miss there, so it is getting very worrying. Luckily, I do have some Tomb Guard over here mixed in with the Eyes of the Desert, so it isn't going to be a full, you know, like sort of Eyes of the Desert versus all these cavalry units. But these guys are crumbling quite a bit, which is really unfortunate for me. But I do have the Libra of Mortis going down here, and the Tomb Prince is coming in as well to help out. So I saw an opportunity here. I thought, okay, this is going to have to be a bit of a fair trade situation here. Archeon the Black looking a bit grim, does get swiped, does actually not get the damage down. Another swipe does go down, and he does get 300 HP off. So Archeon the Black looking very, very dire here. But we do get a reasonable trade here. We do a lot of damage to his Cold War Knights. We do a lot of damage to the Knights of the Ebon Claw because I send my Tomb Prince on him. But Archeon the Black here, he's looking very, very grim. The Manticore is coming in for another charge here. I was trying to juke as best as I can here. Of course, it's in a real sort of, you know, hard situation here. Balance power does go into my favour here now, and you can obviously understand why I have a lot more units than him right now. These Tomb Guard over here are making sure to deal with those Dread Spears, which of course they will win. My Eyes of the Desert over here are crumbling, which is very, very bad. I mean, they're my last anti-large, you know, units here. Well, not my last, actually. I've got the Tomb Prince. The Tomb Prince over here is chasing down the Knights of the Ebon Claw, which is nice for me because, of course, he will win that engagement, which is beautiful. But I do get a bit sloppy here. Archaon the Black is a bit too far from his King Nagesh's Scorpion Legion. Of course, his Manticore does come in for a bit of an attack here and does kill Archaon here. So, of course, my opponent got what he wanted finally, all that duking and stuff. He finally got Archaon the Black dead. But was it worth it, though? Because I got his Cold War Knights off. My Tomb Prince is in a good situation. I was chasing down the Ebon Claw here, but I was a bit worried that I thought, okay, my Tomb Prince now is my last sort of lifeline here of keeping my units alive. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit here. So basically, my plan now was if I can rout off the Knights of the Ebon Claw or 1v1 his Manticore here, you know, it's absolutely going to be fine. So, we're chasing down the Ebon Claw. As you see, this game became like an absolute, you know, horrible sort of duking and, you know, a bit of a cat and mouse game here. And so, luckily here, I do sort of catch his, because of the thing about the Tomb Prince in here is it is faster than Knights of the Ebon Claw. So we do manage here to get his Knights of the Ebon Claw off, which is absolutely terrific. I do kill them and I get them off. I'm so happy now. But my opponent, he brings his Dread Spears over here. Now let me remind you, we have about 5 minutes left on this game, okay? So my opponent's plan right now was to try and juke me for the rest of this game and try and make sure that I don't have to force his Manticore to land. So his Dread Spears, he's moving around. I do actually here use the Curse of the Jaff. Now I was hoping that the Curse of the Jaff would force his Manticore to land here, but it doesn't. I didn't realise this, but if you rampage a airborne unit, it doesn't force it to land. So I mean, you might be wondering why this game is so long. This is exactly the reason. So I saw another opportunity here. I saw if I can get these Dark Riders off, I can force him to that. So the Dark Riders fully rout off. Let me just remind, this is after 5 minutes of playing this cat and mouse game with this guy. He finally is forced to 1v1 the Tomb Prince. He uses his Opal Amulet, giving him that damage resistance. I use the Blade of Tep, ignoring the physical resistance and armor. And now finally he routs. I'm so fucking glad. This game took ages. You have no idea. It almost went, I think there was like 10 seconds left on the clock. And I finally got it done. I mean, Jesus Christ. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Jesus Christ. I mean, very well played to my opponent. But fuck me. Just when you've lost, just fucking, you know, grind it out, okay? Jesus Christ. Don't try to juke and wait down the timer. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.